On a crowded city street, two cops confront a black woman for no reason. When she stands her ground, they shove her to the pavement in front of stunned onlookers. But as the crowd gasps, she reaches into her jacket and flashes a badge that changes everything. She's CIA. In that instant, the officer's arrogance turns to shock, and their careers hang by a thread. It was late afternoon in the heart of downtown, the kind of hour when sidewalks are packed with people heading home, clutching coffees, dragging briefcases, or waiting for buses. Among the crowd was a black woman in her mid-30s, sharp and composed, dressed in a dark blazer over jeans. She wasn't extraordinary at first glance, just another face in the sea of city life. But what no one knew was that behind her calm eyes was a career that demanded nerves of steel. She had spent years in some of the most dangerous corners of the world, but today, she was simply running errands. Her phone was in one hand, and she kept an eye on the traffic light, waiting for the chance to cross. That's when two police officers noticed her. Their patrol car slowed as they rolled past the intersection. Something about her, or maybe nothing at all, seemed to catch their attention. The car pulled over. Doors opened. Boots hit the pavement. One of them, a tall officer with a squared jaw and mirrored sunglasses, called out, "Hey you! Stop right there!" The woman froze, turning slightly. Her brows furrowed. "Are you talking to me?" she asked, her tone level, not confrontational. The second officer, shorter but stockier, stepped closer. "Yeah, we're talking to you. ID, now." There was no explanation. No greeting. Just authority, loud and unearned. People nearby slowed their pace. A couple walking a dog paused. A man carrying groceries shifted nervously, sensing tension brewing. The woman drew a steady breath. "Is there a reason you're stopping me?" The taller officer scoffed. "Don't play games. Show us your ID or this is going to get a lot worse for you." Her heart pounded, but she didn't show it. She had faced interrogation rooms in foreign countries, men with weapons, situations where one wrong move could cost her life. These officers didn't scare her. But the sheer injustice of the moment, the way they singled her out without cause, ignited something deep inside. Still, she kept her composure. "Officer, I've done nothing wrong. I'm waiting for the light like everyone else. Why are you targeting me?" That simple question seemed to trigger them. The stockier officer stepped right into her space. "Don't raise your voice at us. Hands where I can see them." Gasps rippled through the crowd. A young woman pulled out her phone, recording quietly. A man in a suit whispered to another, "She didn't do anything." The woman raised her hands slightly, palms open. Her jaw clenched. "This is unnecessary," she said. "You're making a mistake." The taller cop moved suddenly, gripping her arm. "You want unnecessary? How about resisting arrest?" In one rough motion, he shoved her backward. Her balance gave way. The crowd let out a collective cry as she hit the sidewalk hard, her phone skidding across the concrete. A little boy clutched his mother's leg, eyes wide. Someone shouted, "Hey! That's not right!" The woman winced, pressing her palm to the ground as she tried to push herself up. Pain shot through her wrist. But her eyes, sharp, unyielding, locked onto the officers. They thought they had control. They thought she was just another civilian they could muscle into compliance. But they had no idea who they were dealing with. The tension thickened like a storm cloud. The officers stood over her, their presence heavy, their authority unchallenged, at least in their minds. The taller one barked, "Stay down! You don't move until we say." The crowd was no longer silent. Murmurs spread. Someone shouted, "She didn't do anything wrong!" Another voice added, "Why are you treating her like that?" Phones were out now, more than a few. Red recording lights blinked as witnesses captured every second. The woman pushed herself up slowly, her blazer dusted with grit, her dignity intact despite the rough shove. She met the officer's glare without flinching. "You're crossing a line," she said, her voice even but carrying power. The stockier officer laughed under his breath. Lady, the only line crossed here is you thinking you can talk back to us. He reached for his cuffs. The crowd reacted instantly. No! A woman yelled. You can't arrest her. She didn't resist anything. A man in a hoodie stepped closer, careful but firm. We're all watching. Don't do this. The officers ignored them. The taller one smirked. Let's show her how it works when you don't listen. As the stockier cop reached for her arm again, the woman's patience fractured. She pulled back slightly, her voice sharp, commanding. Don't touch me. Something in her tone gave him pause. Not fear. Not pleading. Authority. It wasn't the voice of someone caught in trouble. It was the voice of someone used to giving orders. But he shook it off, lunging forward again. His hand gripped her shoulder roughly. That's it, you're under arrest. Gasps. Cries. The crowd surged with energy. This is wrong. Let her go. Voices layered over each other, outrage building. The woman clenched her fists at her sides. Her heart raced, not from fear, but from the weight of the moment. She had let it go far enough. Her eyes scanned the crowd briefly, ordinary people who had become witnesses to a humiliation they couldn't stop. People who would go home tonight and remember this injustice. People who expected her to break, to bow. Instead, she steadied herself, drawing in a breath that came from years of training, years of discipline. And then she spoke, low but clear. You're making the biggest mistake of your career. The officers froze for half a second, confused. The taller one sneered. Oh yeah? And why's that? The woman's hand moved slowly to the inside of her blazer. The officer stiffened, thinking she was reaching for something dangerous. Hands twitched near holsters. The crowd gasped, some shouting warnings. But what she pulled out wasn't a weapon. It was small, leather, official. She snapped it open, holding it up high for everyone to see. The golden letters gleamed in the fading daylight. 3 letters that carried the weight of silence across the entire block. CIA. The crowd fell silent. Phones zoomed in. Gasps gave way to stunned whispers. The officers' faces drained of color. The moment the badge caught the light, the entire dynamic shifted. Where there had been arrogance, there was now fear. Where there had been unchecked power, there was doubt. The taller officer's voice faltered. Wait, you're... The woman's gaze was cold, unwavering. I told you. You crossed a line. And now, every second of it is on record. The crowd erupted, not in chaos, but in vindicated fury. Cheers, shouts, applause. Someone cried out. She's CIA. Another added. You messed with the wrong woman. Phones caught every angle. The officers, once towering figures of authority, now looked small. Pathetic. The stockier one stammered, his hand falling from her arm. We didn't know. We were just what? She cut in sharply. Just abusing your power? Just humiliating someone because you thought you could? The taller one tried to recover, forcing a weak smile. Ma'am, maybe we can. Don't call me ma'am. She snapped. You assaulted a federal agent on duty or off. Do you realize what that means? The words hit like a gavel slamming down. The crowd roared with approval. Hold them accountable, someone yelled. The woman turned, addressing the onlookers. Thank you for recording. Don't stop. This matters. The officers were pale now, their authority dissolving into fear. The taller one muttered. We didn't mean. But the woman cut him off again, pulling her phone from the ground. She tapped quickly, voice steady. This is Agent Williams. Badge number 4516. I'm requesting immediate response at my location. 2 local officers just initiated an unprovoked assault. I have civilian witnesses. Send a unit. Her words were sharp, professional. No panic. No hesitation. The taller cop swallowed hard, realizing the nightmare unfolding. Backup wasn't coming for them, it was coming for her. The crowd was buzzing now, electric with justice. People shouted, "We've got your back. We saw it all." Phones stayed raised high. The officers shifted nervously, glancing at each other. The stockier one whispered, "We're done, man." And they were. Within minutes, sirens wailed in the distance. Police vehicles pulled up, but this time, the arriving officers didn't rush her. They rushed their own. Questions flew, statements were taken, and the two who thought they could dominate her were instead placed under the scrutiny of their peers. The woman stood tall, brushing off her blazer, her dignity intact. She wasn't smiling, but her presence radiated strength. The kind of strength that came from knowing who she was, and making sure everyone else knew it too. The crowd slowly dispersed, but not before many stopped to thank her, to shake her hand, to say, "We're glad you stood up." And as she walked away, blending back into the city, one truth lingered in the air: power abused will always meet a reckoning. The officers had pushed her to the ground, but by standing up, she had brought them to their knees. And that's how two arrogant cops thought they could push around a black woman, only to discover she was CIA, and their careers crumbled in front of everyone. What would you have done if you were standing in that crowd? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true-to-life stories that prove justice can't be silenced.